at some point, it sort of like switches over and we're good. Yep. Excellent connection. We're
Okay,
free to roam.
excellent. Great. All right. I don't actually have the running order now, though, so let me just get that get that up real quick, and then we will go. Nice start to our penultimate episode here.
Seamless.
Yeah, seamless. Yeah, exactly. Never ends. Okay. Hail cheaters. Welcome to the Always Cheating podcast. It is our next to last episode of the pod. It's also our Game Week 38 preview. I'm Josh. I'm here with Brandon. Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah. Yes. Definitely end of season vibes. Yeah. I want to talk about this weekend, which was, it was really all over the map. And the FA
Mm-hmm.
Cup, I think, was perhaps the most interesting match of the weekend.
Yeah, in some
Uh,
ways, the games felt secondary to the
yeah.
the the kind of, or at least the Premier League games did, right? Secondary to some of the other drama.
Naturally,
Yep. Yep.
I feel like the Arsenal Newcastle match is this moment in the season in a nutshell, and that you watch the first half and you think this is soulless, and then you watch the second half and you're reminded, well, there are some dogs out there
Yep.
trying to get at it,
Yep.
and I think definitely you can put your fantasy glasses on
Yep.
and you're hunting for points. Where's the opportunity? And it's really difficult to suss that out.
It
And it's
was,
just a
yeah.
very hard
It
moment in the
was. It
season.
was. Yeah, it was tough. I have to admit, with no Isak and Saliba subbed off at halftime, I made a beeline for the PGA Championship. So I so I missed the second half where
Uh-huh.
things apparently kicked up a notch. I mean, obviously I saw that Rice scored, and yeah, but it was like it just. I feel like we said this before. I mean, thankfully there was a lot of fun. There was a lot of fun this weekend. A lot of interesting stuff that happened. I did watch the Leicester game this morning. It was super entertaining, right? Like at least the first. I mean, honestly, once Vardy scored, you kind of could have turned off the match, right? Like it was sort of over from there. But the first like 35 minutes or so, where they were basically just doing everything, kind of exactly as you and I thought would happen, right? When we talked about it on Thursday, they kind of do everything they could to get him the ball, to get him chances, and he the first one, he basically had three chances early. One, he was honestly a bit selfish. He had like an unmarked teammate, like with an open net, and he kind of took this difficult shot. The second one was just a hard angle, and then the third one, the goal he actually scored, was honestly the best. It was the coolest one because he kind of did this like little like side foot, right? It was like he honestly had a pretty bad angle, and he just reacted super fast, right? And I don't know if I'm sure you've seen it now, but like
Hmm.
it was just such a cool little side-footed goal, like very, kind of very funny in some ways because in my head the kind of like peak Vardy goal is like a goal blasted as hard as a human being can hit the ball, right? That's sort of the
Hmm.
classic goal, but obviously, that only goes to show his range, right? That he was able to kind of do
Hmm.
everything, and and I thought it was an awesome goal celebration too, like just like picking up the flag and stuff. So
Mm.
I was like, I had a good time. Like I was like, this is fun. Like I was
How
really,
much money did you win on this goal?
I put 75. I ultimately hedged. I mean, not hedged, but I think I was like on the fence about what I wanted to put. I put $75 on him to score, and that was at plus 175. So what is that? 110 or something like
Hmm.
that. It was a nice way to start the morning,
Nice. Guard
Yeah,
of honor.
exactly.
Let's
Yeah.
go, baby.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it was a fun match. Yeah, but I thought, yeah, I guess we're kind of all right. You know what? We'll just work backwards here. We'll start with Sunday and we'll work our way back to the start of the weekend. So, any other thoughts on Leicester, or I don't know, just on the Vardy match, the final game for Leicester? They kept a clean sheet too, which
Well,
is
yeah,
impressive, I guess.
it's a nail in the coffin of McKenna's legacy in his one season in the Premier League, and a manager who came up with the idea that he might be managing at Old Trafford one day is he sort of like waves goodbye, and he's off to go hang out with the Frank Lampards of the
Yeah,
world. I mean, obviously credit to Leicester, and there is just you cannot discount. Uh, What's funny, mentioning Manchester United, and I'll say you can't discount pedigree, but there it is. Jamie Vardy encapsulates that, and the match was just all about that. And the goal he scored, I loved, yeah, how it was James Justin with the assist, who has kind of
Yeah,
been like the
your former boy.
post-league,
Yeah,
yeah, right,
yeah.
post-league winning title fullback, du jour, and I think he probably best, what's his name? Who's the other fullback for them? Ricardo or whatever his name is?
Pereira. Uh-huh.
Pereira, yeah, Ricardo
Yeah.
Pereira. Um, and I like how like it was a reverse pass from Justin and then a reverse finish from Vardy. And I think, Vardy of 5 to 10 years ago, he's just faster. He's more athletic. He's creating more space and his
Right.
movement. He's just
Yeah,
kept up. Like,
he takes those sooner, right? I think that was the first chance he had in the match too. He probably 5 years ago, he just takes that, right?
mhm.
Like one touch or something.
Yeah. There was part of me that just wanted something just a little bit more iconic. I mean, I don't know. I'm like the kid in the big wheel in The Incredibles or something. Like I'm just waiting for
God,
something.
you were so
So,
yeah, you were ending the season on such a sour note. Like what did you enjoy this weekend then? If that goal
well,
didn't do it for
I
you?
enjoyed the goal. I'm just kind of
Yeah,
like I'm just like my notes. Just looking back at my journal would be like,
not
I
great
don't know. I
enough.
just thought
Yeah.
there would be a Vardy of all people. He seemed a little restrained. I'll
When
be
he scored the
honest.
goal, he literally
Yeah.
grabbed the flag and started shaking it up and
I mean,
down.
we've seen him kick a corner flag and shatter it into a
I
million pieces,
thought
so I'm
I
not
thought that was a
impressed by
pretty
that.
good. I don't know. You're like the kind of person you get a 9 pointer from a captain, and you're like, if it was nine, it could have been 13.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
I don't
anyway,
know. Yeah,
God bless Jamie Vardy. Long may he reign. I'm very interested to see where he ends up next season because he's
yeah,
not retiring, and that really is going to be fascinating.
yeah. I know, and I just saw it today. It's kind of funny because I always joke about this as like that every player who's leaving the Premier League is going to go to the Chicago Fire. And then today it was revealed that the front runner for Kevin De Bruyne is the Chicago Fire. Like Chicago Fire are actually going to get one of these people that I joke that they're going to get.
Hmm.
So maybe Vardy can go join him there, the Chicago Fire. Let's make it happen. He probably needs
Absolutely.
a summer off though, or something, right? You would
Jamie
think.
Vardy?
Yeah, I mean, he's like a 38 year. Like the idea that he's going to jump right into like because the MLS season ends. It's basically like an 11-month season. It's like March to December. Like it's such a I guess
Sure.
it's
I
10
mean, it
months,
sounds
but it's
perfect, right? Like
yeah,
you get like an extended holiday. You don't have
yeah,
to suffer through any of this garbage of the Club World Cup, et cetera.
that's
You
true. Yeah,
proper vacation, and then you get to start a great new job
it was kind of
next
funny.
year.
There was a comment from KDB who was like, "They're like, are you gonna play in the Club World Cup?" And he's like, "I don't really think that makes sense." He was like, it's like he's basically like they don't really draw these contracts up with Club World Cup money. It's like if I get injured in that, he was just like, he's gonna be missed, because there was just something about him. He just seemed like a good dude. I always just liked KDB. I mean, it's sort of the thing about Man City is that in some ways they're just because they win so much, it's always been kind of easy to sort of treat them like the evil empire or whatever, at
Hmm.
least the last 10 years or so in the Premier League. But, on an individual level, I mean, Sergio Aguero is like one of my all-time favorite players to watch. Pete KDB, like basically like, is in that top five category as
Sure.
well, right?
Like all evil empires, the players on the pitch, they all just seemed like stormtroopers
Right.
in their
Right.
own way, and they were governed by something more nefarious off the field, and it
Yeah.
made it
Yeah.
much easier to identify with the superstars on the field. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's and this is like something I've said before too. I don't know when I've said it. It could have been 7 years ago, Brandon. Who knows? But like in some ways, what you buy with all that money is you buy passion, right? It's like you're not buying like automatons who are like maybe actually Holland is like the closest thing to an actual like human robot, right? And on the on the pitch, but like in general, it's like
Mm,
it's the ones who don't really
counterpoint.
like yeah, it's like the ones who are really talented but don't really love football that much or don't have like haven't been able to like kind of find their final gear. Those players aren't at they're not at a top four club, right? Those are the players who go to like a mid-table club to basically show that they can like put it together, right? And so it's like you're kind of buying people who've like they've kind of eked out all of their talent, right? And that tends to manifest
Mm,
itself in like really creative or at least kind of dominant. I don't know, whatever. Like I don't, maybe I'm not explaining this very well, but like I guess what my point is, like it's kind of logical that like the very best, most expensive players would also have like maybe like a little more fire, right? Than like some of the other players kind of
Hmm.
in their talent zone, right? And it's
Yeah.
that little bit of extra kind of something that
Yeah,
that makes them great, you know?
Real Madrid begs to differ at the moment, but
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, and I think with De Bruyne is emblematic of the City player where they have a very select skill. Like Mo Salah ends up at Liverpool and is just this emphatic superstar.
Sure.
De Bruyne has a very specific way he's gonna play, and it is perfectly into a Pep Guardiola. I'm going to scrutinize my system and fit everyone in perfectly. And De Bruyne was kind of crying out for a manager to slot him into this perfect moment. He wasn't, and
Right.
I think like his
Because
journey,
you were
like or
scouting those Wolfsburg matches pretty extensively. I remember you took a scouting trip out there to see him play back in 2013 or so. And
You
yeah,
laugh,
yeah.
but I watched a lot of De Bruyne Wolfsburg highlights. There's actually a great YouTube package of like the match in which City, this is just sort of like clickbait, but like the match in which City decided to sign De
Hmm.
Bruyne. But you watch him at Wolfsburg, and it's like it's an interesting sort of like talking about players moving to different leagues like MLS, and he went to the Bundesliga to basically you have two ways you can go from Chelsea if you're Kevin De Bruyne. Are you going to cower and try to find a manager who's gonna, or just like be groomed, or are you gonna go to a team like Wolfsburg and actually express yourself to the point where Man City say, "Great, I see what you're doing here. We can use that," and
Right.
I think
Right.
that's what he did.
Yeah, it's high risk, high reward kind of
Indeed.
move, right? You could also just kind of get buried, if you're sort of in a bad system, or I don't know. It can
Hmm.
be, it can be tricky. So, well, anyway, that is those are some non-fantasy thoughts. Oh, I guess actually Vardy, people brought him in. I mean, I was in a head-to-head league against somebody who had Vardy this week, and it was a good move ultimately. I mean, it looks like he's gonna be one
Yeah.
of the top captain picks if he didn't. I don't know if you didn't go Cucurella or something. It's he's one of the better options.
Yeah, yeah, and everyone's kind of like it seems like high floor, low ceiling sort of a game week in game week 37 thus far, where
Yeah.
lots of returns, very few high returns, apart from the likes of Cucurella, as you mentioned. And Vardy, yeah, if you brought in Vardy, you gotta be pleased with that gamble, and just just being a part of that history is pretty awesome. And then you're sort of you just accused me of this, like being sad about like an 8 or 9 pointer.
Hmm.
Like where do you go from here? I mean, it's good. Like now you just bench Vardy for game week 38, and
Yeah, or
that's real.
use a transfer to
Sure, play
there.
the game.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There are a couple of, I mean, but the risk was certainly like kind of what we saw today, which is that Isak is now a doubt for next Sunday. He's got this groin issue. It could end up being a super important match as well. I mean, I was looking at the table, um, ahead of the recording, and it really is like pretty tight. I mean, I'll share it with you here so we can both take a look at it. But it's basically obviously one of the clubs in Man City have not played yet, right? And
Hmm.
so, but they could lose that match. Like that would not be shocking, right? Like Bournemouth are the kind of team that could go into the Etihad and win that match. It's going to be pretty hard given how high the stakes are for Man City, but it's not impossible, right? Or they could even get a point out of it, which would still make things really spicy going into game week 38, right? So we basically Liverpool and Arsenal completely safe now, right? No chance of not being in the Champions League,
Yeah,
and then you have five clubs
that's
basically
crazy.
for three spots, yeah, and they're all like they're basically tied, right?
Yeah.
It's incredibly close, and so yeah, and even if Man City win on Tuesday, which is probably likely, you'd still be looking at three teams for two spots, right? So
Yeah.
or I guess yeah, I mean basically yeah, three teams for two spots, right? Because you'd have Newcastle, like, so if Man City win, they'll be at 68 points, right? And so then you'd have Newcastle, Chelsea, Villa, and Forest. So actually four
Yeah,
teams. It'd be four teams for two spots.
sure.
So
Forest
yeah,
Chelsea is the match in
yeah,
Gameweek 38, bar none.
yep,
It's going to
yep,
be incredible. I can't
yeah.
wait. It's
Forest
so awesome.
host they host Chelsea, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So if they win that match, I guess it's not a lock that they'll go through, but it's probably very likely, I would think.
Well,
Well,
how
actually,
would they not go through?
well, I don't know. I was just trying to do the
They would
math
top
here.
Chelsea on points,
Well, if
and
Newcastle also won, though, if Newcastle and Villa both won,
but Chelsea and Forest both have one match left to play, and if Forest get 3 points over Chelsea, they'll be in fifth
right?
regardless.
No, I don't think so though, because if Villa and Newcastle both win, won't they
All
both
right,
be on
Forest are in
60?
seventh. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of moving parts, but
yeah.
thankfully the matches are on at the same time. So it'll be we'll have a lot to watch. I actually think Villa's in a pretty good spot now to actually nick one of these Champions League spots. I actually would be a little worried about Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle without if they don't have Isak next Sunday, and Everton are just sort of kind of ending the season. I feel like on a like I mean I don't know. Maybe they just had the kind of emotional um the emotional like last match at Goodison. Maybe they're just kind of spent. I don't know, but it doesn't feel
They've been
like
the
it.
foreign
Like
like a foreign team for a long time now.
yeah, exactly. They have 7 from the last 9, and 2 wins in a row. I mean, they just went into was it West Ham last week where they went in and won too. So
Hmm
it wouldn't be shocking if they were able to take a point from Newcastle in that match as well. So yeah, and if somehow Bournemouth can win on Tuesday, then it's really exciting. I
hmm
mean, there's an actual if Bournemouth can win on Tuesday somehow, then you could actually see Man City miss out on the Champions League, which would be insane.
Yeah, it would be. It makes. I'm very curious how then City set out on Tuesday. Because they had to push hard against Palace, and Palace,
Yep.
frankly, worked them.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah, City had. It's the design of Pep Guardiola, where City had a ton of possession in the FA Cup final, and it was just so ineffectual.
Yep.
Uh, and uh, um, it does make me wonder then, like, how much does Man City then just try to take whatever energy comes out of that final and try to lay it all on the line at home and get
Right.
that win versus Gameweek 38? So it's confusing.
Yeah. It's hard to say. Yeah. And KDB's last home match, as we were just talking about. So there's, yeah, it's a really, I mean, and what do you think about, I mean, congrats to Palace, by the way. I thought that was awesome. It was really, uh, yeah, it was just great. It was just really cool to see. Like it felt like, it just felt like a really special moment, like it was just really fun to see the celebrations after the match was over. And Eze, just like kind of the culmination of a really strong kind of especially second half of the season for him,
Hmm
right? Where he's just sort of been
Yeah.
he has become their he has become what they always hoped Will Zaha would be, basically. No disrespect to Will Zaha, but
Oh,
just
plenty,
like a
plenty.
yeah, yeah.
Eze is finishing the story the way Zaha could not.
Yeah, exactly. And so, huge congrats to everyone. And it's just it's an easy team to like, I find too. Like I like this Palace team. They're just their defense is really strong. I mean, Dean Henderson's had a great second half of the season. It's sort of one of those like fantasy goggle things where the first few weeks of the season he was a popular pick, didn't really deliver a lot of clean sheets, and I think it maybe painted a picture of them. I mean, honestly, they just had a slow start to the year, right? That's really what it comes down to. And but I feel like as the season wore on, like the sort of quality that we knew was there in preseason really showed up, right? And Munoz, I think especially, has been awesome. Eze has been great. Sarr's been very solid. Mateta's been good. Dean Henderson was excellent in the Champions, or the not the Champions, the FA Cup final. So yeah, I don't know. Any other Palace? Oh, I was going to ask you though. What do you think the Palace will do on Tuesday? Like, do you think it's full
No
strength
idea. I have
squad?
no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, that they would celebrate winning their like first trophy ever, and you think players like Munoz in particular, like I have in my fantasy team, and you think his game is really hyper athletic, and it is not just a you know, go, go, go. Like you have to be measured about how you use Munoz. And so, do you want to have him have a little celebration on the pitch at the in game week 38?
Right.
Or is it all just all boys, you go out, have your last run of the Premier League in game week 37? I think it's one or the other for a lot of these starting 11 guys.
Yeah, I wonder, like someone like Eze, literally just on the floor at the end of that FA Cup final, like they have to give him minutes, right? Because he has to be able to go out on the pitch and get,
Yeah,
saluted
it's
or
a home
whatever.
match on
Yeah,
Tuesday
yeah,
as well
yep,
against
yep.
Wolves. So I think I'm favoring like a stronger starting 11 just for them to get their flowers against Wolves.
Yeah, followed by some early subs, maybe, right?
Yep.
Like halftime
Mm-hmm.
subs, something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah,
exactly.
that sounds right. Yeah, I think that's right. And maybe, and if they're able to score a goal or two early, then the subs will come early too. I guess if Wolves score a couple, then maybe they stay out there longer. I don't know. So yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think we'll probably see more or less standard starting 11 for Tuesday. Um, so by the way, just a quick note, for anyone who missed last week's episode, we're not going to go through it all again, but the Always Cheating podcast is entering retirement after next week's season finale. So I just wanted to say a quick thank you to everybody. Really, like practically, it feels like everybody we've ever been kind of come into contact with, the podcast over the last 10 years, reached out and sent us a really nice note. And people that I've never met or heard from before also sent us notes. It was really, it was just a very wide ranging number of really kind messages from people. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who did that. It was really, it was very appreciated. It was like, it was just it's funny that we did it with a couple weeks to go.
Mm.
It's like when like a player who's been in the league for a long time, like Miguel Cabrera with the Tigers a couple years ago. It's like he announced his retirement before this, like
Trent,
yeah, exactly. It's like Trent, except we didn't get booed off the pitch, thankfully, but it was
we
sort of
can't
a
hear them.
yeah, yeah, which was ridiculous, by the way. Like, I mean, people can do whatever they want, but like, give me a break. It's like there was an athletic article where they interviewed him, and it's not like he made a totally reasonable decision. Where it's like he's like, I've been here for 20 years. I just want to kind of try something new, and it's like, whoop,
We're both from
like
Michigan. God
yeah,
help us if we stay in Michigan our
well,
whole
yeah,
life. Get
exactly. Like
get over it.
I feel hypocritical. I did the same thing, and like I don't blame anybody who did, right? And so, yeah, and like
The thought would never occur to you.
he wants to go to Real Madrid and like check it out. I just don't. I
Spain's
don't know.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like yeah, exactly. It's a warmer too. Like I'm, whatever. Like
See the world.
he'll probably be back in 4 years anyway, right? And so it's like
Really?
these guys, they all come back. They all do a couple spells. I mean, it may not be a Liverpool, but he'll come play for I don't know, Wolves in 2029 or something like that. But anyway, back on my just on the note. So thank you to everyone. We will be doing one last pod next week. We're also going to meet up, go to the Black Horse, our old familiar haunt. Brandon's going to be in town, and so we're going to be watching Gameweek 38 matches there. You're very welcome to come if you'd like to come say hello and watch the games with us. It should be a lot of fun. Should be as we were just talking about, some proper Premier League stakes on the line. That's certainly my hope. Even more than fantasy. I don't actually have too much to play for. I got last week I did my bench boost and it helped me win my head-to-head knockout match, Brennan. Then I got bench boosted myself this week.
Oof,
I got
turnabout is
I
fair
ran.
play.
I know I ran into my own bench boost. So I'm down like 18 points in that one. That's pretty much over. So I'm just going to be going to watch and basically I'm going to go root for Forest and and I hope that they can
Up the trees.
yeah, exactly. So I just just kind of fun. It's just fun when a new team makes the Champions League. So so that is that's what's happening next week. But yeah, thank you again. I don't know, Bernie, you have any other thoughts on
Yeah, no, I just thank you for giving me the experience of attending a funeral for a small business for 1 week, and I'll never forget it.
yeah, that's a good it's a good way to put it. So quick score check time. How are you doing in Game Week 37? We still have, I think it's 3 matches to go this week. But how are you? How's your squad looking at the moment?
Yeah, my squad, I'm on, let's see. Okay, naturally, I've got to the site doesn't. I'm on 38 points, okay?
Okay, so not the best. How many players do you have left though?
I have let's see. Can I just pull this? The internet is so horrible in times
You're
when you.
having like a night. I can tell. I don't know
All
what.
right, I'm on
Yeah.
38 points. Yeah, I've got I've got 5 players left to go.
Okay.
So it's an interesting sort of muted post Sunday where everyone's kind of returned except for Saliba, who
Yeah.
tragically went off at halftime. And
Yeah.
this was my ploy going into the game week 37 deadline was I had triple Arsenal defense between
Yep.
Kivior, Saliba, and Raya, and I'm just gonna try playing 2 of them. So I
Mm-hmm.
benched Kivior, who I thought was man of the match. I thought it was kind of criminal that they named Raya man of the match over Kivior, even though Raya made some incredible saves in the first half. But Kivior basically said, "You remember Rob Holding? That's not me. I'm not that."
I'm the new
And
Rob Holding. Yep.
he
Or
looked.
yeah, or I'm the old whatever. Yes, yes.
Yeah, Rob
Rob
Holding
Holding
is
is no
dead.
more. Yeah,
Here is
exactly. Yeah,
Kivior.
yeah, yeah. Long live Kivior.
Yeah, long and I thought he played incredibly well. So, I mean, that's my only feeling of remorse right now. Moving my one free transfer, I moved Isak to Watkins and captained him. And Watkins getting the injury was a stroke of good fortune because I was kind of a little worried about, the payback for that move because
Yeah.
Newcastle were in decent enough form. So that makes me feel a little bit better as I position myself for the game week 38 deadline, not having to concern myself with what's going on with Isak. I guess it was a bit of a groin strain that just
Mm-hmm.
kept him out of the squad entirely. Now, the way Eddie Howe made early transfers in that early substitutions in that match, and there was something about it. Even though like Newcastle had some good opportunities in the first like 20 minutes, you got this feeling that Eddie Howe said, "You know what? We're gonna just basically go for Everton in game week 38."
Right, right.
Which is a little which I guess like my point there would be maybe they're saving Isak for that, like
Yeah,
for whatever
could be.
point that.
Yeah, it was a classic Howe thing where we had no idea this was happening until
Yeah,
after had my press conference. Which seems
yeah,
to happen with him more than any other manager. This seems to
yeah,
happen, Brennan. These late breaking, unannounced injuries. It's funny how that
yeah.
works.
So just a quick shout out for Anthony Alenga, who is just the smallest little FPL asset who could, and he
Mm-hmm.
gives me Giroud after Giroud after Giroud with these
Mm-hmm.
5 pointers.
Yep.
And listen, I will take them. So
Mm-hmm.
now basically my I'm like just a small red arrow, and I am left with a lot of player doubts with City and Palace. I have Muno starting. What's going to happen there? Guardiola, what's going to happen there?
Yep.
De Bruyne, what's going to happen? Marmouche. This was an interesting talking point in the FA Cup final with Holland. You called him a robot earlier, but where is he? Is he a robot or is he artificial intelligence in which
Mm.
Holland thinks he's learning or something like this, and he tries to make
Yeah.
his own decisions, and he gives the penalty to Marmouche, and Marmouche just proceeds to,
Yeah.
not do it. I Holland is just not it. I'm very uh, curious about where Holland goes from the year 2025 because like the people in his class like Vinny Jr. or Mbappe or Trent for that matter, they're just basically setting out their stall, saying, "I'm interested in achieving the Ballon d'Or."
Mm-hmm.
And Holland is just kind of interested in chilling. And I'm basically like a democratic socialist, and I'm kind of more of the Holland point of view, and
Mm-hmm.
like give the penalties to your friends and your teammates and spread the wealth. And this,
Sure.
who
Sure.
cares?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You don't act like this in real life, but I know in theory this is it's a good approach. I do like this. I like this version of you, and I want to meet him sometime soon.
Well, I mean, what do you think about Holland in terms of his future as a footballer?
I don't know. I mean, he still scored 21 goals in the season. He's got injured and lost 10 weeks. The whole team. I mean, the real problem is that Man City have we're like a nothing. It really would have been a bummer, to be honest, if they had won the FA Cup yesterday, right? Because it would have felt like, oh man, like you spent enough money to build a squad, and you just can't not win a cup. Like you can just fall ass backwards into a cup. And so the fact that they got beat by a team that is just like genuinely more kind of inspirational in terms
Yeah.
of the way it was put together, and probably what, like 1/8 of the budget or something like that, right? I have no idea what the respective numbers are, but surely it was significantly. I mean, Holland alone must be a bigger transfer fee than like everyone on that team combined, right? And so yeah, the vibes are totally off. I don't know. I mean, I guess Pep's probably going to stick around now to like kind of like the way Sir Alex was talking about retiring, and then when Man City won the league, he was like, "I can't end it like this," and he was like, "I'm just
Hmm.
gonna buy Robin van Persie and just win one." I refuse
Hmm.
to leave until I go to winner. So I could see Pep having a little bit of that too, where he's like, "I got to win the league one last time before I can."
Hmm.
I don't want to. I refuse to leave with my tail between my legs or whatever. So not that like, I mean, everyone knows Pep's great, obviously, but the vibes have been bad this year for sure, right? I think the worry I have, and I guess this all just connects back with Holland, is I don't know what the next iteration of this team looks like. It's like all of these, Marmoush included, right? But like it's like Marmoush and just sort of looking at this
There's no
squad.
midfield.
Yeah, it's like Savino, Grealish, Nunez. I mean, it's like Rodrigo's got a lot of it's a heavy burden for Rodrigo next year when he's back, right? Assuming he's like fully back, right? I mean, like, is he like, I know he
Well,
was like kind of, I mean, we're not gonna see him, I wouldn't think, this season. There's no reason to, but
yeah.
he's training again, I think, right?
I would imagine his goal at this point is to be fit and fighting for the World Cup for Spain and next summer.
Right, right.
So who knows? But yeah,
Yeah.
without Rodri, the city has like no midfielders. Silva,
Yeah, so who's
Gundogan, all
yeah,
of
so who's
them.
getting the ball, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, they have no like yeah like functional midfielders, and they have no with De Bruyne going. Where's the creativity? Because I just don't see Bernardo Silva keeping it up. So anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very interesting question. So anyway, back
Yeah.
to my team,
Mhm.
slight red arrow, and I think basically if I'm able to just kind of stabilize
Yep.
through Monday and Tuesday, I'll be around 145K,
Okay.
and then I'm just in a situation where I'll need a bit of a miracle in game
Yeah,
week
that's
38.
that's too bad, because I know you were so close to like breaking through 100K. I feel like that's where I am with 300K. I like keep getting like closer and closer to 300, and I
Hmm.
can't. And then I stumble a little bit. I'm like, ah, crap, is this not actually going to happen? And it feels like we're sort of we're having a parallel ends of season, just 200,000
Right.
blank
Yeah. Yeah.
spots
Yeah. Yeah.
apart.
Yeah, you really you could just pin it on a handful of players like Cucurella is has been the guy
Yep.
basically. When I wild carded around game week 12 or thereabouts, Mikolenko was my Cucurella. And there are
Right.
these weird random guys who
Yeah.
just tend to hit a patch of form and carry you through bands of 100,000 at a time. And
Yeah. And he was
uh-huh.
he was really good at Brighton, right? But like, I mean, but it's not like we didn't really see this coming, right? Like the first, I mean, but basically, there wasn't a lot to go on in terms of
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I mean, the
But it just
rough
feels
start to the
like when he
season.
scored that
Yeah.
goal this weekend, I'm like, is Cucurella genuinely like the highest scorer on Chelsea this season? It's an
Yeah,
incredible season
he's
he's
got
had.
5 goals and 2 assists. I mean, what does Palmer have? Palmer's at 15. God, again, it's so funny. Palmer and Holland, it's like they were good so long ago in this Premier League season, right? Feels like it's basically been 6 months since they were relevant. It
Mhm.
hasn't been that long for Palmer, but it feels like it's been so long since they were relevant that you kind of can't believe their tallies, right? It's like 21 goals for Holland, 15 goals and 10 assists for Palmer, and you're like, really? Like this season they did this? It's like it's sort of hard to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he's on 15. I mean, okay, let's Nicholas Jackson. Is he? If you had to guess, is he over under 10 goals on the season?
I'd guess 12 goals.
Okay, I haven't looked yet either. I'm gonna guess. I'll guess exactly 10. I'm gonna go right
Okay.
on the number. He has 10. I did
Nice.
not look. That was it sounded like I cheated there, but I did not. 10 goals in the season for Jackson, and he's out until August 23rd. Brandon suspended until August 23rd.
Sure. I
Does
guess
that
that's
mean
what happens when you purposely elbow someone in the
yeah?
face.
Does that mean he's out for the Club World Cup as well? That'd be devastating for Chelsea.
Oh, good. Selling my
Yeah.
tickets presently.
I know. I love how much we like to joke. You and I actually bought Club World Cup tickets, and we're still joking about it. But it's kind of a. I mean, listen, it's a
Not
cash
to see a
grab, but it's
Premier
fun
League
to.
team.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that is true. And like, it's like the Premier League Summer Series. They finally actually made it a little better this summer. They're adding 2 games to these bills, which I don't know. I went to Yankee Stadium last year, and I would not do that again. I would not go see another Summer Series game there. I'm just not sure I'd see another match there. Honestly, like
It's a baseball stadium.
it's a baseball stadium, exactly, and it's Yankee Stadium. It's like you can't. It's not like you're at like some generic.
It's a bad baseball stadium.
Well, yeah, that's actually true too. But it's like it's not like you're at like some minor league stadium or like some place where you can deceive yourself into like, oh, it's just a generic stadium, right? Like who
Hmm.
knows who plays here? It's like it is the most Yankees. Like everything, everywhere you look, there's Yankee stuff, right? And so to
Hmm.
see anything that's not the Yankees there just feels, very like discordant. So
Hmm.
um, all right. So anyway, let's see what else we got to talk about before we get to 38. Um, Friday's matches went exactly as we would have expected. I would say, like, just two one-sided nothing burger matches, right? Like, were they both end 2-0, I think, right? It was just they were kind of like they were just
2-0
matches.
and 1-0.
Oh, it was 2-0 and 1-0. Okay, right. Yeah. So, but just like they were just given what Spurs Man United have on Wednesday, it really did make sense for them to. Although they kind of, I mean, Spurs went a little weaker than Man United. I feel like Man United fielded a slightly stronger squad
Yeah.
in that match, but the result was the same. So you might as well have not done that. And so
Just makes me hate this Europa League final even more.
I know. So are you going to watch it Wednesday afternoon? Are you going to get the popcorn bowl out and
Yeah.
you know
Cancel my meetings.
cancel your
I'm
meetings?
watching I'm watching this.
Yeah.
Um I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be a game time decision. I'm
I
not
often
planning
get
to.
yeah, same. I often get sucked into the Europa League,
Mhm.
right? It's like the final. I mean, it's like the first half. I don't usually watch, and then it's like I start to see people talking about it. I'm like, maybe I'll just peek in, and it's like this cannot be true, but it feels in my head like all of them go to extra time. Like I feel like every Europa League
Mhm.
final has
Well, last year's
yeah,
had a little extra umami because Leverkusen were going for it and this undefeated season, and
that's
then
right.
Adamola Lookman basically set them on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
It was in an incredible fashion.
Who are they playing again?
Atalanta.
Atalanta, right?
Mm,
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how often these guys like they like there's just so many Premier League dudes who had a year or so and then they kind of like I was at a NYCFC game a couple of weeks ago and I saw a brace from Chopomoting. And I mean obviously like, he's not um he didn't exactly like was it pull up trees? Is that the expression, Brandon?
sure.
Yeah. But then he went to PSG and he was excellent, right? And so it
Was
was
it
like
Bayern he was at?
I thought it was PSG. Maybe it was Bayern. Maybe it was both. He went all over. Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting, Brandon, is very well traveled, and I really I respect that about him. Let me. He's 36 years young, so I
Mhm,
like that about him. Like I like that for him.
mhm.
He went straight from Stoke City to PSG. I mean, like a path that's been well
Mm,
trodden at this point.
absolutely.
Stoke to PSG, and then he did go to Bayern after that. So went Stoke City, PSG, Bayern, New York Red Bulls. Those are the classic kind of quadrumvirate, of
Yeah,
the
there's this
quadrangle of
Richard Jolly
teams.
who writes for maybe ESPN. I don't remember. He had this
Yeah,
stat that basically went viral of Stoke City having a former player who played in the Champions League final for like 10 years straight,
it's so
from
bizarre.
Shaqiri
Yeah,
to Choupo-Moting and
yeah.
all sorts. So
Yeah, it's weird. Like, yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Because I'm sure these clubs all, they all have big scouting teams, and I'm sure there's a bunch of brilliant people scattered around all these clubs, right? And then they just kind of get them, and they don't fit their style or whatever. Or they've got a kind of Sam Allardyce, old school
Mhm.
manager, right? And they're just like, this guy's too European, I'm just not going to
Mhm.
play him. All right, well, let's. Yeah, so the Saliba hamstring injury I mentioned before. We, doesn't sound good for 38, I would say.
No.
Yeah.
No, I would not think so. I think Saliba, I have him. I can't imagine making my final one free transfer for a defender. So
Yep.
I think I just bench Saliba, and it's the all clear for Kivior. All
Yep.
systems go for Kivior.
There you go. Yeah, and Arsenal, way to Southampton for the final match. So yeah,
Great.
you'll double up with your two Arsenal assets and
Hey,
see what
and
happens.
all of my praise of Kivior in this weekend will come back to me in fantasy returns next because I've
Yeah.
really bigged him up there.
So yeah, and I'm on 42 points with I think I've got 4 players left to play. So I had Murphy come in for Isak, so whatever, 2 points there, fine. And the other final note was just Fulham beating Brentford. Very like that was not a result I was expecting. A 3-2 Fulham win
If
away to
you're a
Brentford.
Brentford fan, you're just like, quit now. Like, what's the point?
Jeez. I thought you'd be coming into these last 2 episodes busting with joy, and you're going the other way. You're
Oh, I
you're
have
early.
opinions. I have takes. I have
Yeah, you're
takes.
early. Like, yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll tell you
Scrooge
about
over
the
here.
Brentford take is from a Fulham fan point of view, in that we've done them dirty, Harry Wilson style,
Hmm.
twice in one season,
It's wild.
and certainly the first match of the season, like we definitely deserve to win, and yeah, and good on Fulham for that. And then
Yeah.
to have Tom Carney score the game tying goal on a header, no less, was incredible.
Yep.
And that, I do wonder what happens to Tom Carney this summer. I think it's just Fulham needed this win so bad, and
Yeah.
Brentford didn't need it because that team's frankly going nowhere, as is Fulham. But
But hey, they're tenth place. They've won 2 of their last 5. It's like it's fine. They're in 54 points in the season. Like 54 points is in 10th place is really solid. Like if I had told you going into this year that Fulham were going to finish top half of I mean, they still might not because it depends what happens with Bournemouth, but still, like they're right there, and it's
yeah,
impressive. Yeah.
yeah, the mid-table in the Premier League is beyond impressive this
Yeah.
season. Like, it is
Yep.
so, you're running into a buzzsaw hitting any
Yeah.
team there, basically, through to Wolves, or well, I won't give West Ham that much credit. Basically,
Yeah.
through to 14th place, you're taking your life into your own
Yeah.
hands
Which,
there. And
yeah.
the Premier League, I think, has had a difficult season, and all this crap around the poor officiating and the VAR travesties does not help the
Yeah.
league. But what helps the league is just how insanely competitive it is, and that's just
Yep.
something that's always been with the league, and you got to respect that.
Yeah. I will say on the VAR front that semi-automated offsides is a clear improvement. I'm glad that they have finally instituted that. I think it's like it also just speeds things up, which I'm also happy about. And just like I just never want to see a line drawn on this. I never want to see a crooked felt pen line drawn
Mm.
across a
Mhm.
screen again. But they always like vibrate. It was like lightsabers. It was like they're like sort of like you could see they never they just it was hard to ever be convinced by one of those lines on the
Mhm.
screen.
Mhm.
They're too fuzzy, and so yeah, I agree with you though, and you're making me wonder about like a kind of working theory that like the Premier League is sort of as strong as the mid-table or something like that, because in some ways things have been kind of settled this year for a long time, right? We kind of knew basically in February, it looks like Liverpool going to win the league, and it looks like we know the three promoted teams are all going to go back down. That's been pretty fixed, and
Yeah.
so but yet there have still been things to watch the whole time because Brentford have been a lot of fun to watch at times this season. Fulham have as well. Bournemouth certainly have. Palace as well. Even Everton, when Moyes came on, have at least been kind of impressive, if not like maybe super entertaining. And Brighton, like totally unpredictable. You never really know what you're going to get. And then Forest, who are basically a mid-table squad that flirted with the Champions League all year, right? So yeah, so I think that's a positive takeaway, Brandon. So let's now look ahead to game week 38. And I think we were going to go fixture by fixture, but I think we've done so much commentary already, Brandon, that I'm not sure we need to. I think we should go right to the questions from our beloved Patreon supporters, Brandon. This is their next to last chance, after all. Let's
Yeah,
get them on here. So, Jimmy, I'm not going to ask an always cheating centric question, but Jimmy gets lots of questions on here, so he's good. And Sam C. Okay, here we go. Sam C. has says, "What are your make fantasy fun again #MFFA punts for game week 38?" So, Brendan, if we're looking at game week 38, we got lots of teams, lots of matches. I believe it's 10 teams and 10 matches. It was 20 teams.
Wow, incredible
Yeah,
game. Just teams playing themselves.
Yeah, teams.
Watch 10 scrimmages.
Yeah, exactly. No, of course, 20, all 20 teams. I was being slightly silly there, but yeah, it's of course all the matches are played on Sunday at the same time, and we'll have lots of action and stakes. And so, who are I don't know what's happened to me. I turned into a generic announcer here all of a sudden. I don't know how to end these podcasts either. Okay, it's weird. Okay, we did 800 of these and suddenly forgot how to talk now that we're near the end. So who are some teams? No, not even teams. Who are a handful of players, Brandon, when you look across these 10 matches that would be fun to own in game week 38? It'd be fun to have them in your squad. It'd be fun to root for them, whether you're at home or you're at the bar. If they score, you would be excited. So who are those players?
Okay, so I'm looking at Bournemouth players here. Semenyo, Evan Nielsen, Clivert. Those three guys, one of them I would love to have against Leicester at home.
Yeah. Are they make fantasy fun again, or are they just want to have them because you think they'll do well?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. All three players I enjoy watching.
And that's true. I do too.
So that's my opening salvo.
Yeah. All right.
A call and response.
Yeah. How about Morgan Gibbs White for Forest? They have been sort of. Chris Wood has fallen off from his incredible, unsustainably hot form, but Morgan Gibbs White has, I think, really emerged as like a super solid Premier League player, like a quite good, could be a squad player on a top level club. I'm not sure he's a starter, but he's Adam Lallana levels of skill.
Yeah,
Brandon,
I think that's a good comp, Adam Lallana. I think that the commentary this weekend was bigging him up as he'd be a natural heir apparent to Kevin De Bruyne at Man City. I was like, whoa, slow down. And that's basically
beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, you want him to take the Calvin Phillips route to Man City? Go with God.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
But he is a good player, and he's a fun player to watch.
Absolutely, 100%, totally agree. And we're talking about Zaha versus Eze earlier. It's just very interesting when you get these players who are clearly one of the best in their league, and you find this club that's just like a perfect fit for your skills, or even exactly what we were saying about De Bruyne at Man City.
Yep. Your boy Alonga too, by the way, another fun option.
Yeah. What is the case for Gibbs White staying at that level at Forest? And there are a lot of other things that play into it. Going back to what we were saying about Trent Alexander-Arnold, like what else do you want to do with your one life? Do you want to see other parts of the world or the parts of the country, etc.? But
I think they're guaranteed Europe, right? So no matter what, I know the European Conference League is not the most exciting thing necessarily, but I do think if they beat Chelsea, the lowest they would be the Europa League, right? And so, in a pretty good chance, I think, of the Champions League. And so
we know the Europa League is basically a free pass for a Premier League side into the Champions League.
Well, yeah, I think that there would at least be a path, right, for them. And so, I think it's a little bit. First of all, I'm not sure he's done so well that he's in write your own check. He's not like Mahrez, right? When Leicester won the Premier League, and it was Mara, I feel like Mara is like basically to be nice, stayed on for one more year, right? He like stayed on for their Champions League run, which actually worked out pretty well. I mean, they made it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League that year. But I do feel like Mara, like it's not at that level where it's like everybody in the world wants this guy, right?
Hmm.
But I do think I'm sure there'll be offers for him, right?
Hmm.
Like I could see I don't know who would be a club that would make sense for them, but for him, but um, I don't know, but whatever, right? Like, I think that,
He'll end up at Spurs.
yeah, I mean, that to me would be like, well, yeah, I mean, okay, that's actually amazing. If Spurs win the Europa League final and are in the Champions League, that would, I guess, actually be an upgrade, right? If they don't, if Forest don't make it themselves, God, wild. Yes, I think there's a good case for staying. Whether it's a long term thing, I don't know. I mean, these contracts don't even matter, right? He could sign a 5-year extension in the
Sure.
summer and then just move the next year. Like, it
Hmm.
clearly doesn't matter. But uh, and obviously Wood is. I think Wood is too old to move on, right? I think is he like 33? I think he just kind of rides it out now, and then you're kind of in that like club legend territory at this point, right? It's like just
Hmm.
stay, like just be that guy who gets invited to all the
Dude,
functions for the next
just
20
just
years. It's
be
like
Natalie Imbruglia and stay.
exactly like what's the oh yeah, you want to go get 18 minutes every 3 games for whatever, I don't know, Arsenal next year. It's like, just like I think that like, just stick around and be the man at this club, right? That feels like
Hmm.
way more fun to me. All right, any other make fantasy fun again players? I mean, some of these matches are really hard to even kind of project,
Well, yeah,
like,
you're
yeah.
you're. I'm at odds here with the make fun, but also Arsenal, and Arsenal are just basically like weird mercenaries at this
Mhm.
point, as far as fantasy is concerned. But
Right.
I think that Southampton game could be a total shootout, and there's somebody like Martinelli who I
Yeah.
thought played pretty well against
Yeah.
Newcastle.
I mean, Declan Rice, like, talk about mercenaries, right? Like, that guy's looking
Sure,
for a
I'll play for
shot
your
right now,
country, their country.
They
I don't care.
yeah, but I'm saying I've never seen a defensive midfielder who's like, I mean, he's at least gotta talk to Arteta about whether they'll let him play forward next year, right? Like, he clearly wants to
Forward?
be I don't think he likes being a midfielder. I think he wants to be a scorer. He wants to be up for I mean,
I
I'm
think he's
joking,
doing
but,
it.
like, yeah, he is doing it. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess they need somebody to. I don't really know. It's like it's a weird thing. Like, is it ultimately helping Arsenal for him to be scoring this? I don't know. I mean, I guess he had the 2 free kicks, right? And so those are like kind of and they beat they basically beat Real Madrid on the strength of
Yeah,
his free kick. So I can't really mount an argument that they don't need his scoring, but
yeah.
I don't
The
know.
yeah, Rice
It's
is
his
Rice
job.
is not a problem for Arsenal, right? Nor is
No,
he a
I don't think
solution,
so.
I think. I think
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
basically one of the good things at Arsenal right
That
now.
is true. That is true. And if he wants to be kind of a Dutch style, like positionless defensive midfielder, like who am I to argue with the results, right?
Sure, no.
So yeah. But to me, there's nothing making fantasy fun again about Arsenal, Brandon. Just
Mm,
straight up across the
okay.
board. I have the Champions League brought some fun. The Premier League has been for a team that's going to finish second. This Premier League season has been a bit of a grind, I would
Mhm.
say. For
No
Arsenal
doubt.
supporters.
It's soulless.
Yeah. What about well, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. I was thinking a little like, is there anybody on? Gosh, it's a little tricky. What about a Fulham player? I mean, they host Man City. I mean, Man City have a lot to play for, surely.
Mhm.
Even if they win, they'll have a lot to play for. So, is there, could somebody spoil the party for Man City? Like that'd be a thing to celebrate, right? Like,
I think it's very hard to
yeah,
predict. I mean, the consistent fantasy asset at Fulham has been Raul Jimenez, and just don't think there's a strong enough case to use up one of your 3 forward positions on
yeah.
him, and then it puts you back in the midfield where
2x
it
assist from your boy, Adama Traore. So maybe him.
oh god. I mean, that was the worst way to get 2 assists. Like, he was almost he was, like, basically responsible for every attacking opportunity that Brentford had. What
He
a
is such a
weird player.
he is Mr. Chaos. I mean, the Premier League is better for him being in it.
Yeah,
It's like a little bit like a Saint Maximin was like this too, where you sort of
yeah.
it's like I don't really know if there isn't quite enough scoring for plus minus to be as big of a thing as it is in something like NBA, right? But it does feel like these guys are like real like if there is plus minus in the Premier League, like these guys feel like they're minus dudes ultimately. Like they're super fun, but it feels like they give up as many goals as they as they
Yeah,
help to create.
I do. Marco Silva's probably gotten as much out of him as anybody could. So
100%. Yeah,
credit
absolutely.
there.
Yeah.
Credit there.
No, I know exactly, and I don't mean to even neg him because I think he's a fun player, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's like you probably can't like trust him, right? Like as a week in week out kind
Saint
of
Maxime's
asset.
still on the Newcastle books on
Really?
loan at Fenerbahce this season.
Huh, Fenerbahce, the
He
Turkish
must
move.
be a real tool, apparently.
Yeah, I
But
guess
they don't
so.
want to make that work.
No, I think it's the other way around. Plug him in anywhere, Brandon. Any club, anywhere in the world. He's the
That's
ultimate
basically the
tool.
Newcastle project is out to prove that he is the ultimate system player.
Yeah,
We'll
it's right
loan
there in
him
his name,
anywhere. We'll
Alan.
prove
He's an Alan Wrench. You know, this is what he
Alan Saint
does.
Wrench.
Alan Saint Wrench.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, if his name were Alan Saint Wrench, that would honestly be the coolest
Too
name
good.
ever.
Yeah.
That's a yeah. All right, so let's see. Leisure rules. He's given us the option here, Brandon,
Okay.
to treat this like the always cheating community team, which is by far like it's going to crush both of us this season.
Yeah,
That's
easily. Yeah.
yeah, a real like feather in the cap of the community
Mhm.
team. How well they've done, which you and I have had no part of,
Zero.
unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we you know it's been fun to celebrate and from afar. So yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, they are the odds-on favorite to win our second half league. That's how good the community league has been this year. Billy Drew says, I'm leading both my mini leagues by 30 plus points. I want to bring in one transfer to honor 10 years of always cheating. Who should it be? So I guess we got to look. Is Sam Vokes still on a club?
Yeah.
Maybe when Burnley come back up.
Mbakani,
And
Sam
Bacani's
Vokes,
out there.
Quadwo Poku make it into
Yeah.
the Premier League this season
I do.
somehow.
I love that anytime Alexander Sorloth scores a goal, we still get at replies
Yeah.
celebrating it. It's
Yeah.
Lord Sorloth, you know, he got it done. Yeah, so let's see who is a real. Maybe we'll pick one Josh's guy and one
Mm.
Brandon's guy here. So
Mhm.
I will go with. Well, I don't know what position, you know, but I'm just going to go positionless, and maybe
Sure.
you know maybe they can make it work.
Yeah.
I already said Morgan Gibbs White, so I think that would be a fun one. I also think there's a good chance he gets something. He's got
Gotta
double-digit
pick one.
returns in his last two, but I will just pick one, and I think we're going to get a fun final match at home for Ipswich. It's their send-off match. I think Liam Delap
Wow.
scores a
Yeah.
goal against this cruddy West Ham defense. That's my pick.
Okay. I'm gonna go Evan Nielsen for mine.
Okay.
And I do think like I feel like to my credit, I think I dubbed him as like the new Ollie Watkins
Mhm.
earlier in the season. As far as this guy's got something about him. He's not gonna
Yep.
go very far. Maybe
Yep.
he'll but anyway, Evan Nielsen is my guy.
Okay. I
Delap
like that.
versus
I
Evan
like that.
Nielsen.
I like it. Okay. Let's see. FPL USA Brian is also having a great season, and congrats on the baby, Brian. Says Saka or Salah last day captain. So we haven't really talked captains yet for 38. I think it's a choose your own adventure captain week. I think you could really make an argument for 9 players, something like that. There's
Where
really
does
quite
the
a lot.
argument begin for you? Where's your bus team at presently?
Well, I mean, Saka to me doesn't feel right because I don't know where the vibes are with that Arsenal squad. I don't see that as like a 5-0 Arsenal win. I have no idea what that match is going to be, but why would they suddenly be like a fun, high scoring team? Like now, like why start now? It's like
Yeah.
I just don't see it. So Salah of the two, I think is more fun, but I think, I mean, just to run down the list here, I think Evan Nilsson or Semenyo. I think those are both Clivert. I feel like his form has fallen a little bit off, and so
Mhm.
I may be less inclined to go with him. But I think either those two. Um, Jared Bowen, who's in absolutely incredible form away to
Mhm.
Ipswich. I think that match has like 3-3 written all over it to me, like totally wide open. No one's defending, you know, everything, anything goes kind of match. And I think if it ends up being a match like this is the kind of narrative stuff that it's kind of fun to do when it
Mhm.
comes to captaincy, especially for 38, right? And if it's 3-3, then I would expect him to be involved in one, if not two, of those goals, right? Like a goal and assist or something like that. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
bet West Ham demolish Ipswich.
they
Like,
might, they
I don't
might,
think
yeah.
Ipswich score a goal.
Really? Oh, I
No.
think they do. I think they do. And yeah, then we've got yeah. So then Salah. I mean, I don't know. We're recording this before the Brighton game tomorrow, and I just don't know. I don't know what to say about him or the squad or anything. I wouldn't be super excited about captaining him for 38. I'll say that much.
I suppose I would, because I think what we're kind of driving at here with the captaincy discussion is there is no bang on, here's the path,
Hmm.
which opens the door for somebody like Salah actually becoming well, you
I'm
could
sure he'll
argue
be
it.
the most popular captain
He,
pick.
he will be, and I guess what I'm saying is I think that it will be justified and
Yeah.
also can be fun, because it is a home match.
Hmm.
And Crystal Palace, again, we'll see what we see from Palace on Tuesday night against Wolves.
Right.
I think Liverpool could just be throwing a party here. Now, is it just like
Yeah.
both teams totally hungover? I think that
Yeah.
still opens the door for Mo Salah, who we know is not a partier, and he's just a professional.
Right. It would be fun to bring in Trent and captain him if you could afford it. It's not easy to do at 7.2 million. The only way I guess I could do it would be if I move Gavardi all to him, which
Do you
I
think
don't
he
know.
starts?
His final home match, I think so. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, I suppose, but um, I don't know. Let's see what happens tomorrow. I
Didn't
guess. I
really
mean,
get a warm welcome from the
I know,
fans
but
last game week.
I know, which was ridiculous, as I've already said. I mean, again, like I mean, it's it's all fun. These people, all the people who are booing him, if they saw him on the street, would run over and try to
Get a
give him a hug
selfie.
and tell him, and yeah, exactly, and tell him how
They wouldn't try to
wonderful
hug
they
him or
are.
be genuine. They'd try to get a selfie because they're posers.
Right. Well, whatever. Right. Yeah. Exactly. But like, but either way, they would be very excited. They would not be like, "Oh, I hate this guy." He's, whatever. So
Sure.
it's all just games. And
Sure.
but it's obviously like no one likes to get booed. I think it would be appropriate. Arnslot seems like a thoughtful, intelligent dude, and I think it would be appropriate to start
Okay.
Trent for this final match as a send off to one of the
Yeah.
great players in Liverpool history. Right. It
Sure.
feels
No
appropriate
doubt.
to me. Yeah.
Who could forget that corner kick against Barcelona?
One
Just
of the
like,
great moments of the last
yeah.
like 10 years of football, right? It
Yeah.
has to be. I
Yeah.
mean, it's amazing. That's a fun question. The greatest, what comes to mind immediately for me is Vardy scoring the year that Leicester won the championship. Vardy scoring this amazing goal against Liverpool, where he scored it
Mhm.
from like it must have been 15 yards out of the box, and it was like it was like one pass. I don't know if it was a volley or if it actually dribbled at one time, but it was such a beautiful goal, and it was just like, oh wow, they might actually do this thing,
Mhm.
right? It was like they might actually win. And I don't know if anything else comes to mind for you, like big
What's the
moments.
question?
I just like the most exciting moments in football in the last 10 years. I mean, I don't mean to take us on too much of a
Oh,
tangent
well,
here, but
yeah, I don't know. Just like the World Cup final between Argentina and
yeah,
France, it's just
yeah.
like a culmination of an incredible tournament. Sticks out for me
Totally.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah. Sort of definitely the obvious one. But I think like I was trying to like dig deeper, and
Uh-huh.
like get into it. Yeah. But no, you're right. We have World Cup finals for
Yeah, World
sure.
Cup. I
Definitely.
love World. Yeah,
I love
made me a fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Was
No, I
kind of
agree.
on the sidelines until I watched the World Cup.
What was an underrated moment was when Chelsea won the Champions League and they got that like late Didier Drogba goal. Remember you and I were watching that in Montauk, New York,
Yeah, yeah.
in a basement. That was
Sure, yeah,
incredibly
that
exciting.
the Drogba goal sent it to overtime,
Mhm,
if I
and then
remember.
yeah, and then I think there was I think
And
Arjen
then
Robben
Drogba
missed a
won it on a
pen.
penalty, like a
We went to
penalty
kicks,
shootout,
right?
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was a really fun Champions League final, though. All right,
John
so
Terry wearing his full kit out there like a kid,
yeah, oh yeah, because he couldn't be. He was like it was like Harry Kane when Barcelona
suspended. Yeah,
or yeah, but then in the end it worked out. He was able to. They won like a couple like the next day or something
yeah.
because they drew in that match. All right, so let's see. Sir Mattman says a Hail Mary triple captain punt, please. Wild as you like. So kind of rando, maybe non-conventional triple captain pick. I do think that Bowen is a, I don't know if he falls into full on Hail Mary territory, but
Mhm.
I think he's got a pretty high ceiling this week.
Yeah, I think we're really zeroing in on Bournemouth and West Ham
Hmm.
of all teams, but
Yeah,
I think
funnily enough. Yeah.
Leicester without their talisman, I think they're just very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Lest we forget how bad they've been all season, and you know what? And I don't think either of us have a huge amount of confidence in Arsenal playing against the actual worst team in
Yeah.
the division. So it does bring us to Bournemouth and West Ham again. So I like either Semenyo, Evan Nielsen, or Bowen are the three I think we'd pick there.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's right. Um yeah, like there was Red Dagger asked about Darwin Nunez. I mean, he's not going to start in 38, right? We
He
can't.
might. I don't
I guess
know.
he might. I don't know. Like if there's some rando who it leaks he's going to start for Liverpool, maybe they're an option. I just don't. I don't. I find that match to be somewhat unpredictable. I feel that way about a lot of these games, like Spurs, Brighton, Man United, Villa. Like obviously Villa have a lot to play for, but I don't know. It's just like it's a weird one, right? I mean, I think they'll probably
Sure.
win, but I don't know what.
When you go for
Yeah.
punts like that, where you're like, okay, I actually want this rogue triple captain to work, I think you need to start from a position of players who have actually done something fantasy wise. And
Right.
that's why we're zeroing in on these Bournemouth players and Jared Bowen versus Darwin Nunez. You already have these layers of difficulty that you're just manufacturing. Like, I don't even know if this guy's going to start,
Yeah.
and he's done nothing all season. Clearly, he has a ceiling to him
Yeah.
if he does play, but that is really, you're just adding so much random chance to it. So I think
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the art of fantasy is there are rogue things that have less random chance to them.
I think in line with that, I would say that the a question you could ask yourself is this a team that's capable of scoring like 4 goals in a match, right? Like just whether it's Gameweek 38 or elsewhere. Like they're like when I look at this list of squads, like if I that prompt eliminates like half of the teams, right? Just
Mhm.
like instantly. Like just no way like half of these teams could score 4 goals in a match. And then it even includes clubs like Chelsea. Like it's pretty I know they scored like 5 on Brighton at the beginning of the season, but in current
Different
Chelsea,
times, right?
yeah, current Chelsea is not scoring 4 goals, right? There's just no way. And
Yeah.
so I think in Arsenal are kind of in the same boat, right? Like I can't imagine Arsenal scoring 4 goals against Southampton as bad as Southampton are, right? Because it's just not the way they're
They don't want
set
to.
up or playing. They don't even want to, right? And it's hard to imagine. I'm not sure Arteta's even capable of being like, let's just go out there and have fun and
No,
you
if
know, it's yeah,
the second Arsenal go up 2 goals against Southampton, Arteta's like, "All right, 5 center backs."
yeah, exactly. Shut up
What would
shop.
Gareth
Yeah.
Southgate do in this
Yeah,
situation?
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So, yeah, so I think that's that, Brandon. I like this. We went a little longer than we have for recent episodes. Lots to cover, lots to talk
It's
about.
like
We have,
as long as an episode of Yellowstone. You could listen
mm,
to Always Cheating or watch Yellowstone. You decide.
I don't know. Yeah, we report, you decide. So, this is we have one last episode to go. Well, actually two because we have a Patreon episode on Thursday. So thank you to everyone.
Why
Thank
not
you to
sign
everyone.
up for Patreon to listen to our last Patreon episode
Ooh, I
and
like
throw
that. Yeah,
$5 into the
yeah.
tip jar?
That's true. Or go to the Always Cheating shop and get
Mm.
we've had more purchases in the Always Cheating shop in the last week than we have in probably what the last 5 years of having the
Easily.
shop.
Get
Yeah,
them while they're hot. Everything's
exactly. Everything
available.
must go.
Yep.
Exactly. This website's going away. I mean, listen, like, will we maybe come back in some future iteration? I don't know, possibly. Like Mark did it, right? Like, I'm not saying
Uh-huh.
it couldn't happen, but it wouldn't look. It's not going to look like this, whatever it is, right? And so this is the end of always cheating, and so
I'm gonna
uh,
blow up and
yeah.
look like the whale. I'm gonna look like Brendan Fraser in the whale. So
I
it's
want
like
to go up and down. I want to be like Val Kilmer, where I'm like all over the
okay.
place. You never know what version of me you're getting. Um, yeah, maybe I'll start dressing like Mark Twain, for a while too. He did that for a
We could
bit.
come back and
That's
just be like FPL corpulent.
yeah, FPL corpulent, exactly. I think if we were to come back, which probably will not happen, to be quite honest, but like if we were, it would probably be a little bit of everything, right? It's like I'd
Mhm,
want it to be fantasy and Premier League, and
mhm.
I want to like have time to
Furniture.
furniture, movie reviews, I don't know, all that stuff. And this is always the problem, is because once you start talking about the things you actually want to talk about, and you and I both kind of work in marketing in our real life jobs, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
not
Is it
sure
for
there's an audience
everyone?
for that one. Yeah, exactly. That might just be stuff we have to do by ourselves at the bar,
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what
Hmm.
happens. But we really appreciate everyone listening, especially all the people who reached out who never reached out before. And it was really I don't know, maybe we could save some of this for next week, maybe, but it was very touching. And a lot of people brought up the COVID episodes, which were podcasts that we did during the pandemic. The Premier League stopped for whatever it was, 13 weeks or something like that. And you and I just kept doing episodes, and
Hmm.
and it was kind of, and by the end we had nothing to talk about. We were doing movie reviews. We were talking about anything. We were doing quizzes and
Yeah.
games and anything we could do. But so many people brought this up in
Yeah.
messages to us that, like, when there was like nothing else to do or listen to, they still had the Always Treating podcast on Monday doing those COVID episodes. And I think um I think that it was nice that I'm glad that, at the time, I think it actually probably contributed a little bit of burnout on our part, but it gave us something to do. And people people like them. And it was just like, when I think about like memorable times for the podcast, it's actually honestly maybe the first thing that comes to mind were those
Mm.
COVID episodes.
Yeah. It fulfilled our contract with our network as well, which was an added bonus. And
That's true. We were able to keep charging everybody. That's true. That was a nice part of it too. Is that why we
yeah.
kept doing it? Maybe it was. I don't even know
Well,
anymore.
I think on that COVID thing, and I think what grounds those COVID comments is just connecting with people through any moment, whether it's
Yeah.
weekly. This is like, as far as I learned from all these comments, is we've got a lot of listeners who walk their dogs,
Yeah.
and
Or
um,
listen in their car on the drive to work in the morning or whatever. Yeah.
this is the big idea I have going into the last episode: is you should never
Let's
feel
hear
like
it.
you're playing FPL alone. And I think that's what
Yeah.
this podcast has always been about, and will be its legacy.
You are not alone. Is that Michael Jackson? I think so.
Yeah, I would love for our
Da-na-na-na-na.
legacy to be forever tied to Michael Jackson.
Michael
It sounds
Jackson. Yeah,
great.
exactly. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. And we'll be back on Thursday with Patreon Pod, Sunday night with our final pod. Talk to you soon.